when you start coming back to yourself and you're doing the things that you love and the things that light you up, and it gives you so much energy. So you can do all the things and not feel completely depleted at the end of the day. Like, this is the work. It's coming back to yourself so you can live a vibrant life again and really feel good and embodied into that person who you were always meant to be. You just lost yourself for a while.
Welcome to my podcast, Amanda.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you asked me to be on here. I'm very grateful.
I've been following everything that you've been doing since you started your podcast, the Mother Shift podcast, and just having had a chance to meet you in person and feel the energy and the love that you give out. This is really special for me. And we talked a little bit just a moment ago about how a lot of what you are sharing really goes hand in hand with a lot of what I do. I feel like there's a beautiful complement here to your work and the inner child work that I do. And so I feel like this was a very important conversation to have. I don't want to make it all about me, but I not at all. But I tend to, I guess, help heal the after effects of childhood wounds and traumas and seeing the imprints that are left upon the subconscious mind after the fact. And a lot of what I see you doing is preventing these traumas from happening in the moment, in childhood. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this conversation. So if you see my childlike energy come out, my excitement, it's because I feel like this information is just so powerful. So anyone that is listening, listen with your children in mind, listen with any kids you have, nieces, nephews, friends, kids, anyone that you have in your life that is a young person, and see what feels right to apply to that. So with that said, again, welcome, Amanda. I would love for you to start out on talking about a little bit of your journey leading up to beginning this podcast and the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, so who am I, right, to be talking about all of this? I am I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm an esthetician. I've been an esthetician for 18 years. I used to work in a popular waxing chain for, I want to say, 11 years, and then I started to gain some courage within myself to have my own business and become an entrepreneur. So this is kind of where my shift started to happen, because we all want a life that feels abundant, right? Like, we hear that so much. We want an abundant life. We want to feel good. We want to feel joy and happiness and ease and grace. We want to be graceful. We want all of these things that make us feel good at the end of the day. So, and I didn't even know this at the time, but there was something in my life that wasn't feeling good. So I knew I wanted to make a change. And, being the person who I was at the time, I was scared. I didn't think I had the courage to do that. Um, but I made the steps forward to do it anyway. So, um, with that being said, that's how I started to step into where I am today. I started to do a lot of mindfulness work and soul searching, finding inner peace within myself. I've read so many books, listened to so many podcasts. I guess you can say I'm a mindfulness junkie, and with all of the information that I've learned and I've implemented into my life, I can now see more of a bigger picture. And I want to share that with the world. Whoever needs to hear what I have to say. So, for any of you wondering who I am, like, I'm not a certified therapist. I don't have these degrees or certifications. I'm just like you. I'm just a mom who was overwhelmed, who was feeling unworthy in her life and feeling like I lost myself within motherhood. But I now know it was that part of me that actually was waking me up to find who I always was. So if that makes any sense. So yeah, so back to, I had my son in 2019. This was right before the pandemic. So he was about 6, 7 months old when the pandemic happened and just life was shifting. There was a lot of uncertainty in this world. And obviously, having a newborn and having no clue what you're doing and just trying to get it right was very challenging for me. And then the world is, you know, very chaotic. So that wasn't helpful. My husband's also a police officer. He works in law enforcement, first responder. So that was also, causing more anxiety and stress. And I was home just by myself with my son all day and worrying about the world. So this was the start of my what brought it out of me to seek therapy. So, because there was always that question. We all have a past. We all have things that we've experienced that make us who we are today. And there's certain things that happened to me growing up that I feel like I just kind of like swept under the rug and never really brought it to the surface to really process them. And now, like, these feelings are like coming up, and now they're worse because now there's just like a lot of uncertainty. So that's when I decided to move forward with therapy. And I think therapy is great. Like, I actually started seeing a therapist again, but because so I think it's really important to talk to someone and to have conversations, that with someone that, is just, not in your world. It's like an unbiased opinion. They're so, you know, it, and then my journey went on. And then I found so many other tools and resources that really helped me find myself. So it wasn't just therapy, it's more just talking about your feelings, but it's also taking what you want to fix about yourself, and I don't think we need fixing. Like, we're not broken, any of us are. It's just like we all lost ourselves, we all lost like who we actually came here to be. So it's using the tools that I've learned to come back to who I always was. Because when we're born, sorry, do you want to say something? Go ahead.
No, I'm following everything you're saying and I agree wholeheartedly. You mentioned processing emotions that you never had a chance to process. Everything's rising up to the surface. And I could talk all day about that. But then you also mentioned, um, we came here to be one person, and all of that stuffing down, not processing, is what prevents us from being that person. So it ends up, I mean, you can talk more about this, but any adult listening to this can relate to that. I know I can relate to that because we push things off to the side, right? Life must go on. But I think during that period of time where the world shut down, a lot of us really were forced to face ourselves.
A lot of alone time.
And yeah, yeah. And I just love the catalyst that I feel like this was for you. So if you can talk a little bit about, um, you know, finding yourself, like what that was like. Were you meditating? Were you putting different practices into play?
I started listening to podcasts. That's where that's where I started to dip my toe into more of the mindfulness and spirituality of all the work that I do. Um, I started listening to this podcast by a woman named Kathy Heller, and I don't know if you're familiar with her work, um, but a lot of what she was bringing up, I resonated with, and she's talking about how the world and society puts all these ideas in our minds of what life should look like and what we should want out of the world, out of our lives. Because when people hear, when you ask like someone, like, what do you think abundance is? They're like, oh, it's like more money, more vacations, a new car, a new house. Like all of these things are outside of themselves, but we're not really looking for those things at the end of the day. Like none of that actually matters. It's just the feeling that those things that we think we're going to get is going to give us. So because we could go on the vacation and still feel like shit on the vacation, right? Like,
How many people come home from vacation and are like, oh my gosh, I need a vacation from that vacation?
right. Exactly. So, you could get that job promotion. Maybe you'll be happy for 5 minutes and then you're worrying about something else again. So it has nothing to do with what's outside of yourself. It's not that thing that's going to help make you feel better. So it all comes back to yourself and elevating your emotions. And it's possible. You can actually, be where you are right now. You don't have to go to Peru to go find yourself or go to Bali to find yourself. Like you can find yourself right here sitting in your living room. So, that's not the case at all. Um, so yeah, and that's how I started to find myself by sitting, in my living room, listening to my podcast, folding laundry, doing dishes. That's how I started to find myself. And all of these things resonated with me. So then I actually joined her program. And within her program, I was introduced to so many beautiful light workers. And I did breath work for the first time. And that was like an insane experience. I'm like, okay, we're breathing here. And then tears just start falling, and whoever like doesn't know what breath work is, it's different breathing patterns that help quiet parts of your mind because we're so focused on what's going on in here. And all of this is just information that's just being constantly brought up, and we forget, and it's trying to protect us. It's trying to protect us, all these thoughts of lack, of uncertainty, of just trying to keep us in a safe place. So it's good to be mindful about that, but we have to quiet this part of ourselves to actually tap into what's inside. So, because this is what matters, this is where all the information lies. And we've been, so blocked from what's going on inside of ourselves for so long. We don't even know it because nobody's told us about this yet. Um, this is why, like, the age that we live in right now is so beautiful because so many people are waking up and finding this out and finding this part of ourselves that we've been neglecting for so long. And it's really beautiful to see, people tapping into that because that's how we create a better world. Because when we heal within ourselves, it's a ripple effect. So this is why I do the work because I could sit at home and just worry about myself all day and want to make sure my family's good. But no, something inside of me is telling me that I need to share this with other moms, with other people, because you share this with a mother, and it's not just for the mother, because the mother is like the foundation for the household. I fully believe that, and not to like nothing about the dads are really important too. I love the dads. Like we can, talk about that another day, but the mothers, they are the backbone of the household. So like happy wife, happy life, like that comes from somewhere, right?
I have
So,
chills as you said that.
hmm so it's the mom is the one that carries that emotional vibration. So if she's feeling unhappy and disconnected from herself, then she's just going to create more of that disconnection within her own home, within her children, within her marriage, and when we've come back to ourselves and we find when we come home to ourselves and we start healing those parts of us that we've been ignoring for so long, it creates this like, it's like, oh, it's like relax. Like, wait, we're gripping onto life so hard, but for what? You wake up in the morning and you're already anxious about like what you have going on that day. You're getting ready for school and you're rushing and you're yelling at your kids to get their shoes on. And it's like already making that vibe in the house like so icky. But why? Why does it have to get to that point? And I know it's hard, and this is why I do this work, because this is the work that I've done on myself, because I've been there. I've been that mom that's yelling like, "Oh, the bus is going to be here. Like, come on, what are we doing? Get your jacket on." But it wasn't so much about what was happening at that time. It's just I knew there were parts of myself that haven't been addressed that was causing me to just live in constant fight or flight mode. So I was just always waiting for the next shoe to drop, for something to explode, or for the next tantrum to happen. It's like I could never just stay in a moment of peace for too long without waiting for something bad to happen. We so many of us are living like that, like at the edge of our seats, waiting for something bad to happen, whether that's like what's happening in the world or what happening like right out our front door. So um so then the question is like, how do we do that, right? Like, how do we come back to ourselves in those moments where we feel so out of control within our bodies? So I think the most important thing is just bringing awareness to that, you know so now we realize like, okay, I don't feel good right now, so what can I do in this moment to change my reaction? And there's a few things that you could do. So you create the awareness, you start breathing, because when you're breathing, it brings you back to the present moment, and that long exhale, it signals safety within your body. So that is very helpful. um you could do this literally throughout the day, constantly doing this. You could do this while you're sitting in traffic and you're getting anxious. You could do this anytime. Like, these are the tools that we need to be using throughout the day to keep our shit together, because
Yes.
otherwise we're just going to be living a day-to-day life of feeling on edge. So the breathing, signaling safety in your body too, because when we're going through these moments of chaos, whatever that looks like in your home, our bodies don't know the difference between your siblings like wrestling or a bear is chasing you. So we are living in that fight or flight mode, and we are reacting in such a big way when what's actually happening outside of us isn't really that doesn't deserve that reaction, if that makes any sense. So
And that's so, sorry, I don't mean to
yeah,
interrupt you, but
no, go
I feel
ahead.
like it's really important to expand on that a little bit
Mhm.
because I've been there myself and I feel like it's a very familiar pattern being a mom. Okay, we have to do this. We have to make the bus on time. I got to get to work. I got to do this. And I think that's almost programmed into us as if that's supposed to be what motherhood is.
Right.
I, I'm curious your take on that, but I do feel like there's some sort of it's just a program that I feel like we fall into as moms, especially having to juggle all of the things.
Right.
Um, and yes, our bodies are interpreting that as though there's a threat to our lives. But
Mhm.
then what do? We just get in the car and go. We don't shake it off like the elk does when it outruns, the lion or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's pent up emotion in our body. It's chemical reactions happening. And then we just get in the car and go.
And then we keep moving. Okay, what's next?
What's next? But that emotion and those chemicals, that anxiety, it's still in there.
Hmm. Yeah.
So the breath, I
And
love
it's
that
going
you
to
bring
stay
up the
there
breath, unless we process it, right? You talk about breath and bringing yourself back to the moment with the
mhm,
breath.
yes.
Can you tell us that technique? Because you briefly mentioned that longer exhale. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the breath, the breath work technique that I use daily, if I just need to like come back to myself in the moment, and anybody could do this, it's, I believe this calls, they call it like a box breathing. So you can inhale for 4 seconds, like, and you can hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale for six. So when you're breathing, because a lot of us don't know how to breathe. I didn't know how to breathe properly because we're breathing like in here, and like a lot of us can't catch our breath, and where a lot of us are holding our breath all day, and it's so important to breathe. Like our body needs our breath. It's so important for our health and our safety. So when I'm breathing, I'm focusing on the air that's coming in through my nose, and I'm following it in my mind. So I'm not just breathing, I'm visualizing what's actually happening. So I'm breathing in and it's coming down, it's filling up my belly with air, and it's coming up my chest, my throat. I bring it all the way to the top of my head. And that's where you can hold it. You can squeeze too. That's like a nice like squeeze your fist, squeeze like depending on how like intense you're feeling in that moment. You can do these things to just like really ground yourself, and then the exhale. And you could do this 3 or 4 times, whatever you need. Even one breath is so helpful. So these tools that we can literally use, and it's so easy, and it's our breath, and we all have capability of doing this. It's important to ground ourselves so our kids can have a present mother, have a mother that they can see what it's like to be emotionally regulated. Because I don't know about you, but I didn't have that growing up. And and I love my mother. Like none of this is her fault, right? Like we go through life, and we all have our experiences, we all have our traumas, and I believe that we carry traumas from our ancestors also. So this is not just about what you personally go through in life. It's also what your mom went through, what your grandmother went through, what your great grandmother went through, and so on. Like everyone that's been before you shapes who you are today. And when we're born into a family, whoever whatever that family looks like, it becomes part of our identity. So whatever religion you are, whatever political party, you just grow up in this home. If you grow up in a home and like there's constant worries about money, and like nothing is never good enough, it's just like constant unsafety, that feeling, that could be just something that you take on without realizing it. It's just happening around you. So even if it's something that you don't really feel, it's not a good feeling to have. And you could say like, oh, I'm never going to grow up to be this way, or I'm never going to be like my mom or my dad, or I'm never going to do this. It sort of happens without you wanting to do that. Maybe not like you're not exactly like your mom, but there's something there that's in within you because you've been around it. And we just, whatever you're around, the people that you're around, whatever you're internalizing, watching, hearing, speaking about, it's all getting absorbed into our subconscious mind, our nervous system, our bodies. Like it's all within us. So when these things happen, creates your identity, your personality. And a lot of us don't know that we can change that about ourselves. So if there's parts of us that we don't like, people say, "Oh, this is just the way that I am." It's like, no, you choose to be that way, but that's, that is what it is.
It's
Um,
so true though.
yeah. So,
Or, oh, because I'm an Aries, I have to be like this.
oh, that drives me crazy. I can't. Just the
You
idea.
still have the choice.
Absolutely. And it's such a rigid way of thinking. But I understand because people want certainty. People want to have, oh, this person is an Aries, I have them all figured out. Like people don't like to make a move without knowing what the outcome is going to be because there's a lot of fear there. So,
Mhm.
that's why they just create these stories in their head and it's like, oh, it's this way and it's a very rigid way of thinking and a lot of people are like that. But
And by the way, I am an Aries, so I'm not picking on Aries.
uh, yeah, it's just the first sign and you said it so.
But there's stereotypes, and I only bring it up because when people get to know me or when they have a longer conversation with me and then they ask me, what's my sun sign, they're like, you don't seem like an Aries. I'm like, what
Mhm.
judgments do you have in here?
I know, and it's not fair. It's not fair to put that judgment on people just because, like, my husband is a Leo, and like, when you think of a Leo, what do you think of? Like the outspoken one, the one that's, like growing up, like that's what I always thought of. Oh, Leos are just like center of attention, and he is not that person at all. Like, he's not. If anything, he could be a leader in ways, but yeah, he's not like the spotlight kind of a person. So it's not meant for everybody.
So can we talk a little bit more about the subconscious mind?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And particularly because you do a lot of work with motherhood and helping moms find their center, be more present. I feel like number one, moms feel like they don't have the right or the permission to give to themselves. But number one, there's all this mom guilt. It's like, we can't, how dare we work on ourselves when we have a child or a this or a that? Um, but they are learning how to relate to themselves in the world. And they are learning really the foundation of their life that they are going to carry with them forever. Just
Yeah,
within the first 8 years or so, most of their beliefs are locked in already.
I know. It's so true. And not everybody realizes that. They think like, oh, they're just kids, like they'll be fine. Or they're
They're
not
not going to
gonna be,
remember this.
yeah, they remember.
I've thought that
Hmm.
in the past. I definitely believed that.
Yeah,
But tell
absolutely.
me a little bit about what you find and why this is so important to give back to yourself as a parent, as a mom,
Mhm.
or as just someone of influence in a child's life. Because even if you say one thing, the kid's picking up on the emotion, on the energetic shift in the room, on facial cues, gestures. I mean, I'm curious your take on all of this.
Yeah.
I know I'm throwing a lot out there. Sorry.
No, yeah, no, I love this question. Thank you. So you can read all the books. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can meditate every day. You can have all your practices, prayers, whatever that looks like for you. But it's if you're not integrating that into your being, um, it's just information that's just going to go in one ear, not the other. So it feels good when you hear it, but I think the most important part of it is the action and actually embodying the work. So, um, the subconscious mind holds on to it's your brain is an artifact, so it holds on to so much information that you've experienced throughout your entire life, and it creates who you are, creates your personal identity. um, and we all have these belief systems that have been stored inside of us. And belief systems is like, what are your beliefs around money? Is money doesn't grow on trees? Like what did you hear? Like that's just the first thing that came to mind. Like we have these belief systems around money. We have these belief systems around what it looks like to be a mom. And that that image of a mother, and it's changed so much through the years. But I think as a woman, so much is expected of us. And I hate when people say super mom, because that is we're not meant to be super mom. We're not meant to carry everything and do everything, and and um and still be okay. We still have to tend to ourselves too. It's so important, because if we're okay, then everybody is okay. Um, so yeah, we have this there's this expectation around women and mothers, and especially working moms, that we have to be able to do it all. And I think that's where all the pressure comes from. Um, and life can feel so hard, but we don't have to continue feeling and thinking that way anymore. And I think at the core, that's like where um a lot of our like triggers lie, because we're not really living for ourselves. Like we're living for what we think our lives are supposed to look like. So um
So it's like we're seeking outside of ourselves.
yeah, yes, we're seeking outside of ourselves, um and doing all of the things. So like we think like, okay, we have to make sure we volunteer for everything. We have to make sure we're working and making a living, and yes, that's important too. Um, and making sure we're baking cookies and making, it's like there's this like idea like we can't sit still, and if we do, like we're looked at as lazy. Like there's this idea. So um, what I like to do for myself, and what I want to help other moms do, is actually have them like ask them like, what is it that you want your life to look like? What is that what does that look like? How do you want to, when you wake up in the morning, how do you want to feel? How do you want to act? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be playful? Do you want to feel sexy? Do you want to be graceful? And you know, whatever the answer is, you can become who that person is. You could step into that version of yourself. And that's the possibility that's there. Um, but it's like you have to actually envision it. And I think so many of us like don't even know what we want anymore, because we're living for everybody else. So even the question asking a woman and a mom, like, what do you want? Like so many people don't even know the answer to that. And it's sad, because we've lost ourselves within the identity of who we think we're supposed to be. So, if like going back to childhood, like because we weren't this way. This happens like through conditioning and through just things that we've seen and been through our lives. So when everybody is so creative, like from the get-go. There's something about us that is so special from the moment that we're born. We are all born with gifts, multiple gifts, and we lose that part of us, of ourselves, like through life. Maybe someone made us feel bad about it, or maybe someone told us we weren't good enough. And we tend to, and then we start quieting that parts of ourselves that we actually came here to be. So we this is a part of coming back to yourself. It's and I don't like to think of it as like being unrealistic and just like, I use my imagination a lot, but your imagination is so important with this work because this is how you're going to visualize who that person is that you want to be and how you step into that. So, I meditate every morning, and when I meditate, this is the work that I do. I'm not just sitting there breathing and relaxing my body and trying to clear my thoughts because first of all, like you're never going to clear your thoughts. Your thoughts are always going to continue to go on and on. Like people think meditation is like silence, but no, it's the awareness of your thoughts and changing that relationship with your thoughts. And I know you know all this, so
I love it though.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all true.
yes. So
So you're visualizing. Is that what you're saying?
yes, so I'm visualizing who I want to be, and it's a daily practice. So I was more introverted. I if you asked me a few years ago if I would be having this conversation with you, like I wouldn't think that. But here I am now. I have wisdom, I have clarity, I feel like a leader. Um, there's all this parts, there's all these parts to me now that for so long. And now I'm finding them again. I'm finding my voice. And it's really a beautiful thing. And when you start coming back to yourself and you're doing the things that you love and the things that light you up, and it gives you so much energy. So you can do all the things and not feel completely depleted at the end of the day. Like, this is the work. It's coming back to yourself so you can live a vibrant life again and really feel good and embodied into that person who you were always meant to be. You just lost yourself for a while. And then when you become this version of yourself, everything changes. And it's so infectious. We live in a vibrational world, and everything, how we feel on the inside, it reflects on the outside. So, everybody has a vibe. People have low vibes. I'm sure you could think of one person that they walk into the room and you already feel their energy and it can be off. And maybe that person always has a problem. They always have like something negative to say or something bad happened to them and they just can't catch a break. There's always that person. And then there's a person that, you know, they have really great energy and you love being around them and you don't even know why. Like some person could just walk into the room and like you just feel relaxed being in their presence. And that person gets invited to everything and just a lot of luck comes their way. This is it's the vibration that they're bringing to the world. So, and people can wear a mask and smile and say everything is okay, but how do you feel on the inside? That's what really matters. And it's a practice every day because I can be high vibe for sure, but I have my moments. We all have our dips, and those dips, this is why we have these tools and the practices and the community. That's also like so important because I'm building this community of moms because we need each other. I think we need each other now more than ever. So it's like you need to know that you're not alone and you need to know that what you're going through, it's okay to talk about it, because sometimes we think like what's going on like isn't that important or it doesn't matter or we're just being dramatic, but not all of it is important. And if we're not okay, we need to let it out. And that's a part of the process. We have to feel our emotions to heal ourselves. So, talking about it with someone who's grounded, in a community of like-minded women, that's the community that I'm building right now. And I'm really excited for what that's going to look like in the future.
That's so needed. I think about, I grew up with my great grandmother, totally different generation, right? She was born in 1920.
Mhm.
But she was first generation Italian American, and she had a community. Everyone lived a lot closer together. um, she had other mom friends, other relatives, people that her mother-in-law lived with her mother-in-law's sister lived with her. Like, there was a tribe that raised the family and or raised the children.
It
um,
takes a village. It really
it
does.
takes a village, yeah. And just fast forward to where we are right now, community, I feel like, is a huge part of what's missing. But tell me a little bit more about this community, or where people can find it, where.
So you can find my community on my Instagram page. So it's the Mother Shift Mindset. It's at the Mother Shift Mindset, and there's an underscore in between each word. So definitely check it out. The link in my bio will bring you um, to book. You're able to book a call with me, and it's a feel good mom clarity call. We could talk more about my program and what I have to offer if anyone is interested. And from there, it brings you to the Mother Shift method, which is a community. And this is where all my tools are, meditations, breathwork patterns, the resources that you can use to bring yourself back home when you need it throughout the day. And also, once a week, we meet for a live session and we just talk and we have that sense of community. Um, like I speak and then there's a Q&A, and we can all have that time to reflect on what's going on in the world and in our lives. And I think it's really important to connect in that way and have no shame. Um, no shame, no guilt. It's very judgment free. Like you're safe to have an opinion. It all matters. And we all matter, and we have to remember that. So many of us we're so scared to ask for help. Um, and we need it now more than ever, I think. So this is why I'm creating this, because I think we need more of it in this world. And I know I'm not for everyone. I'm sure there's more communities like this, but I think the more the better. And if who I am as a person resonates with someone else, or you just feel a connection to me and I'm your person, then great. That's all I want to give. And I believe, the more that you live your life as you and your authentic way, this is how you create more of that community around you. And you're able to actually be in a world with people that you can feel good being around.
You mentioned being able to, because we're both mothers of toddlers. But you
Yes.
mentioned the importance of being able to create these happy moments with your family.
Hmm.
So, how do you see this work benefiting not just the mom, because yes, us moms deserve all the love too, we deserve it.
Yeah.
But how do
Hmm.
you see this work benefiting the kids, the whole family?
Because, like I said, we live in a vibrational world. So if we're feeling good and we're feeling whole, it creates a ripple effect to the people that you're around. So this has already happened in my life. The relationship with my husband has never been better. Um, and I'm so grateful for that. He's definitely, he sees, you know, things differently now, and he's much happier person because of it, and very grateful for what I've shown him. And that's I'm a guide, so I believe we all have this inside of us. I don't want to say like I'm preaching to anyone or I'm higher than anyone. I that's like I feel like I'm walking along this path alongside you. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's just I found this within myself, and I'm a guide and I'm a mentor to help you do the same. So that's what I was able to do for him, and he does the work and he's doing the work, and he's able to find peace within himself throughout the day. He's got a chaotic job and he's still able to come home, and he's happy and to be home and with the kids. So I'm grateful for that. And then with my kids, they feel it too. Like it's all a vibe in the house. So if they feel like mom is off, they're going to feel off. And they carry everything that they've experienced throughout their adolescence. So if they're growing up with a chaotic mother, the chances are they're going to believe that that's how being a parent should be, and they might carry this with them into their parenthood. Or not just that, it's just throughout their lives. Like if they see mom can't handle stressful situations, they might not be able to handle stressful situations. So I just want to we all want what's best for our children, right? We all want our kids to have what we didn't have. um, I want to give my kids, I don't want to give them the perfect mom. I want them to have the most present mother. So just to be sitting on the couch with them, watching a movie, and actually being present with them, and not just sitting there and like thinking about what all the things that I have to do for the rest of the day. Um, Reading my son a story at bedtime, and not just getting through the book so I can get out of the room and go do my own thing, just actually like sitting there and embracing that moment with him. And they feel it too. It's something that, I could say I wish I knew this from the time my son was a baby, because, I wasn't always this way. And, I started off in motherhood more anxious, and, I didn't always handle things the way that I'm proud of. So, but now I have the opportunity to show him what's possible, and to show him that I can change, and we can live in a relaxed home and not argue all the time, or have constructive, respectful conversations, and what that looks like, modeling the behavior and embodying that person that I would love for them to grow up and be one day. Because we can give them all the advice and show them, oh, this is the way to be. We don't bully people, we don't judge, we don't you know just like those are the examples that I could come up with at the moment. But yeah, it's like we can always try to preach how we think, you know a good person would look like, but at the end of the day, it's what they see.
It's
It's
what you model
how
for
their mom
them.
is, how their yes, yes, the mother and the father. Like the father's very important too, and that's why I love that my husband does this work, because he also has changed in the way that he parents, and he thinks before he acts now, and he grounds himself, and we have each other. So if like I see him starting to spiral, like I'll step in, and same, like we have each other's backs, and there's like this beautiful like way that we handle things. Like we don't even have to say anything. We kind of just do it, and it's a really I'm really proud of what we brought into our home. And I can only hope, this is the I'm going to keep going and keep doing this work, and whatever comes out of it, it's none of my business. That's what the outcome is what it's meant to be. So all I could do right now is embody the work and show my kids what's possible, and just hope for the best. That's all I could do.
Well, you're doing phenomenal work. I
Thank
mean, really. And as a mom, I can say wholeheartedly just how much this is needed. To my older daughter too, I didn't know anything about the mind having her,
you. Mhm.
and such a contrast between my older daughter and my younger daughter. Um, you know, Everyone's on their own journey, my kids included. So I don't blame myself for not knowing what I
Yeah.
know now with my older daughter, because that's all part of her journey. Um, but I can see how needed this is for moms, because I think back to, old Jenna, who was feeling all of the pressure, all of the weight, everything that you described. And we do need support. We need to be able to talk to people that are in this a similar boat as us. Also moms, also, on this journey. And I just want to say to whoever is listening that feels like, you need the permission, give yourself the permission to give to yourself. I feel like that's what I keep hearing you say is, to embody this, to do for you. And it's only going to ripple out to your kids.
It's the awareness of your thoughts. It's the rewiring of the limited beliefs that you've been conditioned to have from childhood. Um, it's the healing of the inner child work too. So many of us have shadows that we haven't fully processed yet, whether we've been through, and there's so many different versions of trauma. It could be little or big. It could be, you didn't get invited to a birthday party or a teacher made fun of you. It's like, or it could be you were molested or you experienced abuse at home. It's just such a wide range of traumas that we can go through as a human being. And a lot of times we don't fully process them and we hold on to those emotions, and they always come up if we don't tend to those wounds. So that's also a big part of the work that I do. It's addressing those wounds because they always come up in life. We get triggered by things. We think we're mad at that person because they said something that we didn't like, but it's not really about what that person said. It's about what was not tended to within inside of us, and it's a trigger. So, it's a lot of holding yourself accountable, and could be hard to do, but this is the work. This is what you have to practice every day if you want to feel good in your life. And we only have this one life, and it's so precious, and it could go at any moment. We never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So, you think about helping yourself. Oh, I'll put it off. We'll do it tomorrow. You might not have tomorrow. So, what are you going to do today if you want to feel good? If you want to be the better version of yourself, don't wait till your kids are older and you have more time. I hear that all the time. I have no time now. Maybe later. But that's no, we're not going to have later. We need to do this
What's the cost? Yeah, what's the cost of putting that off for
now.
for a mom like that?
Yeah, it's so important. And that's for all of us, moms aside, like as a society, like we all need to heal ourselves. That's how we're going to create a better world. That's what I believe. So, but this is where I think it's so important. I'll help mothers, and they can create this family dynamic that Um, and then their kids can grow up with all of these beautiful memories and all these beautiful belief systems that feel good to them, and they can bring it into their families. And this is the work. This is what's going to create a better life. So better lineage. When you heal the past, and then you heal the future. So that's why it's so important for each individual to do this work, because it's so much bigger than you. It's not at all. We think it's about us, but no, it's about everything. Like we're so connected to so much that we don't even realize. So it's we are very powerful beings.
Yes.
And
Yes, we are. I agree.
yeah. So It's important to remember that.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you just one more question and take all
Yeah.
the time you need.
Yeah.
But if you could offer a piece of advice or something that the listeners could bring awareness to in their own inner script,
Mhm.
what would that be?
I think everyone needs to wake up in the morning and be grateful that they woke up that morning instead of feeling anxious with everything that they have to do that day. So that's the first thing. Gratitude. Practice if name 3 things that you're grateful for. I think that's the most important thing that you can do every morning. Um, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're doing a fucking awesome job because we are. We've been through so much. We don't give ourselves enough credit. Where you are today, look at all the stuff that we've overcame. And we've all been through some shit. So everything that you've been through, you're still standing. So give yourself some credit, give yourself some grace. I know life can feel heavy personally in the world. So whenever life feels heavy, I want you to remind yourself how amazing you are and how worthy you are and go from there and embody that, remember that, and then go about your day. And then go walk outside the door and be excited about what your day is going to bring you. Who are you going to meet? What are you going to eat that day? How good is your coffee going to taste? Because those little things, they might seem little, but it all matters. So I hope that, I hope that helps anyone.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
I am going to make sure I link everything for the listeners to connect with you, to join that community if that's something that resonates with them.
Mhm.
Um, Everything will be linked below. And I just want to thank you for your time. And you started out by sharing about who you are and what your background is, but I have to just say this before we end,
Mhm.
is that your certification is your experience, is your journey, because
Yeah.
that's what created all of this. So for me, I would much rather connect and learn and take from someone who's been there in the trenches. And so I just want to throw that out there because there's no better way to learn than through experience. And everything you stand for, I cannot agree with you enough. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for putting yourself out there. Thank you for everything that you're doing. I think it's so needed in the world that we are in as we continue, awakening and going through life. I'm just very thankful that there's someone like you in the world as a resource, as a beacon of light, and I'm excited for everything to come. So thank you for being here today and sharing everything you did.
Thank you so much, Jenna. It was a pleasure.